Alrighty, here we go with all the behind the scenes stuff. I don't know if they're documentaries, interviews, or whatever, but I don't know how interesting this will be. Maybe I never even post it. I guess you're only seeing this if I did. So let's just go and get into it.
Who are you?
I'm Peggy Olsen, new girl.
She's so young. Look at her.
So different in season one. She was so naive and
Yeah, no shit.
didn't know anything about anything really. And when she started, she was 20, and now, she's almost 30. It's marvelous, but still had the sort of same ambition.
Man, this is a throwback. Holy shit.
I will do my sincere
They're all so young.
best. And then she obviously has gone through so much with the baby and with different relationships.
They never did anything with the baby, man. Never.
With Dawn.
One of the biggest missed opportunities in the
sort of
series.
Period where she was trying to figure out who she was. Be like Dawn, or did she have to be like Ted, or who did she have to be?
We were thinking about putting this old man in a wig because he looks so much like Ruth Gordon.
Holy
She's
shit.
sort of finally coming around to figuring out who she is. Because I think that there is a virtue to being a woman in her field that she needed to figure out.
You never say thank you.
That's what the money is for.
See,
He's not wrong.
Like working with women, you have no sense of humor.
Holy shit. Eat my ass.
You're fired.
There is something that a woman actually can
I'd dump
do
your ass.
at her job that a man
business-wise.
can't. She really is acting as herself. And with that comes all the insecurities and doubt and anger and pain and all the things,
One of the things I love the most, I used to shoot the documentary shit, right? All the time. I was obsessively shooting documentary stuff. And so one of the things I love the most is when actors talk about their character. I love it. I eat it up. Especially as a person who wrote the script. They will pull things out of it you never intended, but you're like, wow, that really fits. That works a lot. They will come up with a headcanon that goes so far beyond what you wrote on the page. I love that shit. I love this. I love when actors talk about their characters. Now, in this case, they probably had, she's probably been talking about the directors about this. She's talked to Matthew Weiner about it and the writers. She's had way more extensive conversations with way more people than my actors did. Usually I was the sole creator. So she's probably had a lot of influences. But I still love it. It's just great. I could sit there and listen to an actor talk about their character all day.
Can't ruin all those lives.
Get out.
They should have done more with his character.
She is maybe less preoccupied with who she's going to be like, and more just acting
Be yourself.
as herself.
Be your own person.
The day you saw something in me, your whole life changed.
That's true. It's crazy how this all worked out. She was just a secretary, man. Just a secretary. Oh, yes. Roger.
The evolution.
That's right. He didn't really change much.
These characters isn't necessarily linear. I mean, you can connect all the dots, but it isn't in one trajectory.
That's true.
They say once you start drinking alone, you're an alcoholic.
Oh, shit. That's bad news for me.
They have their successes and their failures, both personally and professionally.
Roger, stop it. These men are our guests.
I know exactly who these men are. You think you can just come in here and
Fuck 'em.
fawn all over you? We beat you, and we'll beat you again.
You look
Gain
better
perspective
clean-shaven.
by the decisions you make and the experiences you go through. Look, life is supposed to be a path, and you go along, and these things happen to you, and they're
I love this
supposed to
guy.
change you.
I might as well admit this now. I didn't want to sully the series with this. I have a very complicated relationship with my uncle dad's brother, right? Dad only had two siblings, one woman. It was a sister who's a vegetable, spent her entire life in a mental institution. And she lived for a long time. She lived 60, 70 years, the entire time in a mental institution. She had no function, right? No brain function. And then his brother, that was it. Two siblings. And his brother is a religious asshole. And I hate to frame it that way, but most of the time his assholeness came out in the fact that he was religious. They believed in saying grace before every meal. And the falling out I had after Dad's death with him, as I met him and his wife for lunch, and I didn't say grace, I started eating before they said grace. And it was the last straw because it happened a lot, and he'd constantly remind me, because I have a bad memory, right? I have a bad memory. And he said, look, we don't really need to see you anymore. And that was it. That's been several years now. And I kind of stayed in touch after Dad died. Hadn't seen him in years, but I kind of stayed in touch after Dad died because that was my last connection to Dad. And I forgot to say grace, and so I could go fuck myself, I guess. So I'm not bitter. Maybe a little. The problem is that uncle looks exactly like Roger. They look exactly like each other. The entire time I've watched this series, he constantly reminds me of that uncle. Complicated relationship, a lot of bitterness, ill feelings. Dad and him had a complicated relationship. He's an asshole, right? Like, look, I'm an asshole too. I'm not saying it's all his fault. I could have a better memory. Maybe I could have tried harder. I don't know. But it's always been there. Every time he's on screen, it reminds me of this uncle. They look exactly like each other. But Roger's such a great character. I've never, you never see me like hate Roger or anything, or not be amused by his shenanigans. He's a great character. So my point in all this is, he's such a well-written, well-acted character. I can get beyond the fact he looks exactly like an uncle I don't like. So I think that's a testament.
Roger has been through a lot.
He's had a great life. What are you talking about?
Don't make me make a scene.
To New York.
And I will,
May they all
bitch. The heart attack, that's been through a lot.
Not again. They're still the same.
Not again.
People keep making the same mistakes. And God closes
Dumbass.
the door. He opens the dress.
I sat down with two of them, and I swear by the end there were three.
You could argue that any of these
You
people
drunk.
continue to make the same mistake, only
Dumbass.
in a slightly different form.
Yeah.
Are you leaving me?
We're leaving each other just like you said. He realizes that life is better than the alternative.
It's better to date older women.
My father used to say this is the greatest job in the world, except for one thing: the clients.
And it doesn't necessarily pretend that he's as interested as some of the other people are in this process.
Who died? Let's play hooky.
I'm cutting you off.
You're two ahead of me.
No, from work. Come on.
I'll buy you a
That's a
drink,
great
but
moment.
I think they're still free.
I think he's still resting.
That was his soulmate.
Hasn't given up. Hasn't decided to walk away from all of this.
Don't look at the
That
door.
was cool. I love his LSD trips.
What? Look at you. Hey, not all surprises are bad.
I don't know
Your
whether
facial
he's
hair was bad.
more or less cynical than he was when he started, but he isn't ready to give up.
Oh, little man. Ready for some turkey?
That dude's great, man. Oh shit, we're doing Don Draper. He hasn't changed it. Well, he's changed it. I can't say
Who
that.
could not be
I couldn't
happy
even
with
get the
all
sentences out of my mouth.
Don Draper starting at the top of the world. You are the product.
Yep, he was at the top of the world.
And then everything falling away and falling down and
Yep.
ending.
He's
You know,
constantly
you know,
losing shit over the course of the
stripping
entire
away
series.
everything and losing everything and power, stature, everything but money. He lost his name
Dumbass.
at the beginning.
I know that
Yeah.
your name is not Donald Draper.
Eat my ass.
It's Dick Whitney.
I'm firing you.
Then he lost his
I
wife.
still wish you'd fired him. I regret nothing.
Damn it, Don, I know you're having an affair.
I'm having
Because
17
he
of
was
them.
dishonest his entire life, essentially. You think I would sleep with that woman?
You
Yes.
can't help yourself. Admit it.
There's nothing like this.
You're lying.
I'm going dead.
Welcome to the last time she was
Lost the
interesting.
respect of his co-workers and
Oh,
lost
shit.
the respect of anyone else in the office.
Damn, dude.
If I had my way, you would never advertise.
Hey, the bed in there.
I don't care. Lost his
Wait,
job.
you can't say shit to bed in the
Just
extra
about the Hershey
features?
meeting yesterday because I can explain. God,
You're fired.
No need for defense. This isn't a trial. The verdict has been reached.
The
trajectory has
We
been,
dump your ass.
Heading south for quite some time.
Excuse me. Hey,
Yeah, this motherfucker, man.
here.
He's constantly sloppy.
the minister.
Oh,
right.
fair enough.
Well, hopefully, if you go down far enough, there's only one way to go. But
No,
the
you can
corollary
keep
of
going
that
down.
is, who knows where the bottom is?
That's my favorite
So-
ending of a season.
Find out.
This is where I grew up.
I think a lot of this was before the end of the final season. These are documentaries before the final season. And I think then there's some without after the final season.
We've done something different this season, which is that we usually lapse a long period of time, a minimum of
Yeah.
6 months.
I've never
This
liked
time
that, by
it's
the way.
literally been 8 weeks. There was
It
a
made
story
the season
that
flow
was
better.
unresolved with the way we left things. with
Wow, I
Ron.
never knew you looked
Fired
like
from
this.
the firm, letting Megan go to California, trying not to drink, and of course his relationship with his daughter. Why come back 6 months
Which
later?
sucks. No, that's true. I
As
wish
we were
they'd stopped
figuring
having
out
those
the
long
episode
time
and having
jumps
to keep
between
track
seasons
of what
earlier
time
in
it was
this.
in LA, I started thinking about this idea of repercussions of your actions. That feeling that time plus what's happened, it's really just cemented it.
Hello,
You
Daddy.
fucking
Roger
hippie.
and Margaret have this story where Margaret says, everything you did, it's done, but I forgive you.
You can't make it better.
It's
You
irreversible.
suck.
Peggy and Ted's relationship is over. It still has some
Thank
bitterness
God.
at least for her. And Don's almost in a state of denial about being fired.
Still being paid.
Dumbass.
Well, we had Christmas without you.
Half of Don's life is in California. We know that that is a tension for him. Like, did I
Okay,
do
she's
something
pissed.
so bad in my marriage that it doesn't matter what I do?
You can't make it up.
You're my favorite couple.
I think
Let's
that
make it
one
a
of the
throuple.
great things we got to capitalize on was the reality of Don and Megan's relationship.
Take a quick look.
What we see is, Don sort of commuting across country, trying to make it work. And he sees, obviously, Megan's
Wasting
new,
more money.
kind of bachelor pad.
But my next house is gonna have a pool. Our next house.
And we feel the tension.
Nah, she said it
of
right
this
the first time. Her
long-distance
next house.
relationship. She's nervous about making love to him. And he's there to
Oh,
do that.
shit.
So many
He's trying
things
to
are
fuck.
in flux. Megan still thinks Don has a job, when in fact he doesn't. And he's not used to being the person who has to sacrifice in a relationship either. Put it over there.
Over where? It's huge.
They're both trying to sort of tenuously
Hey, man.
figure out where
At least
they
has a
stand.
remote.
I didn't
This is nice. I usually sleep alone.
He was trying to
Obviously, from a
smash.
plot point of view, you think, well, this is Don Draper. His marriage isn't going well, but he rejects her.
with the man that gave you that ring.
He passed away.
What I
still
really
not
love
doing it.
about it is that he's sleeping with this woman without sex, and they have
Right.
no talk.
What happened?
Hey, man, that's a good point. I didn't think about that.
He was thirsty.
There's a very important message there too, which is that her tragedy of losing her husband to alcohol.
Yeah, that
also
kind of hits
like-
close to home. Yeah. Hitting kind of close to home there, buddy.
Gentlemen, one of the interesting things about Joan becoming partner and how it happened is questions of will she be respected within the office? Mr.
Nope.
Barnes? Wayne?
That's me.
She has become a very intelligent, feisty businesswoman. She
Feisty
does
is
it
a good
well.
word for her.
She's incredibly professional.
Actually, I'd like to move all our advertising in-house.
Joan goes and meets with the professor because she doesn't know exactly what tools she needs, and she wants to make sure that she keeps that account.
Let's see if you have anything to trade.
All
This
this
is
for
a
nothing.
business school. Doesn't money work here? Joan has
Good
watched
point.
this business for many, many years, over a decade.
I took you seriously, but you didn't take me seriously.
She has great survival skills. She knows that's the only way
I agree
to
with
keep
all
this
this.
client is to scare
I
him
mean,
a little
she
bit.
should know her character, right?
You didn't pick an angle for Accutron?
Peggy won't let
What about my
anything
comic?
go, and she's alone.
It's time for a conversation. I think that one's more finished.
And I think you put me in a position of saying, I don't care what you think.
You
The
were a
thing
dick.
about Lou is that he's just one of those guys that's been in advertising forever. Lou wouldn't stay up all night in the office trying to get an idea right.
Stan,
You don't care.
want coffee?
What she's feeling is that nobody cares. She's disappointed in him and Mrs. Don and Ted as well. What are you doing here?
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
catching up on all the work that's been
Matter of fact, the
going
fuck you doing
Any
here?
moment when you run into an ex, it's like incredibly awkward and awful.
You know what?
Not
I'm
if you
just
have-
going to get
you
my
left on
work
good terms.
and get out of here. Good to
Wow,
see
look
you.
at that. The
She still
future's
has
right there with her
feelings for
past.
him and handle it anymore. She feels hopeless.
This was a great moment.
Definitely,
Probably her
it's
rock
somewhat
bottom.
parallel to Don. Everything is broken in Don's life, including the door to his balcony. He cannot
That's a
close
good.
the
That's a
door,
good metaphor, man. I love that.
and he just goes out there into
This guy's a really good writer. I wonder what he's been doing
I
since
don't
then.
know. I learned this early on. It only takes a couple shots to convince the audience that that a character is not up
Well,
to
that's the
much.
truth.
You try to make it a story, you're making a big mistake. Dawn coming over, Dawn's secretary, that's his foothold into the
Right,
agency.
right.
And he lives for that every day. He's not doing anything.
Yeah, he ain't doing shit.
Office or conference room?
Conference room.
Where do you sit?
He's leading this unemployed life
Dumbass.
with the hope that they're going to call him up one day and say, come back to work.
Oh yeah, this was hilarious.
I think
Speaking
it's
of
really funny
dumbass.
that Peggy has this whole thing built up in her mind about Ted centering the flowers and so forth, and not her flowers. Obviously, it's kind of a classic structure of a misunderstanding. It was based on a true story
Oh,
in
really?
someone's life.
Someone's life, huh?
Actually, I don't know.
She's angry at Ted for doing that, and he shouldn't, and she's gonna make him feel bad about it. Tell him that I relayed his message to the client. And what? Of course, secretly, like, she got flowers and says she's happy.
Oh, shit.
Peggy is expecting this gesture, and it's a meaningless gesture, and she is caught in a state of embarrassment because she doesn't have anyone.
It's a joke. Please. She's got a lot of pride, Peggy, maybe a bit.
Yeah,
too
no
much.
shit.
You have a ring on. We all know that you're engaged. And she feels like she was embarrassed in front of other people in the office.
You embarrassed yourself, asshole.
It's the line that Peggy's walking between being the boss
And I'd walk off.
and being a person. And she's having a hard time with it.
Dumbass.
What? What did he say?
We're on the edge of our seats.
Rather than being the typical Pete who's just a petulant, whining
He really
person
is.
about being ignored, he is very active in his own future.
I love that.
Bob and all those.
We can't hear you,
I'll bring
asshole.
oranges.
In that particular scene, it's not about Bob.
I love this actor,
It's
by
about
the
the
way.
business.
Pete caught him, let Pete mount him.
He doesn't want these things taken away from him. You know, he signed this account. It's his account.
Pete brings in the business. Pete should follow through with signing the business and managing the account. That's what Pete's trained to do.
Pete can service the account, but he will report to our man in Detroit.
I love
What we
this
really
guy.
see is
Too bad
that
he's left.
Roger is not in charge of the agency. Cutler is the alpha dog. And that may be a surprise to the audience.
Call me when you fix the damn phone.
He gets something from Bonnie talking to him about what matters, which is that he's bigger than his job.
With
He should've
Bonnie,
stayed
it
with
is
her,
like
man.
that.
She was hot.
And she's different.
What a pleasant surprise.
She's independent in a way.
I'm in sales, too. Not some housewife complaining
She
about
was
getting
great, man. I
fired.
don't know what his fucking problem
And
was.
I think that takes some pressure
Fuck
off
Trudy.
him and his role in the relationship. I'm gonna chew you up, spit you out.
Damn, dude.
Put the sign back.
Yeah.
You said he wanted to see me.
Lou, Joan's here to see you.
I think Joan's one of her strengths is organization and also office politics.
She reminds me of an actress I worked
I know
with.
you can't fire her.
She was
Just
a
move her
producer
to
and
another
director as
part of the
well.
building.
Lou, I will
She
take
was
care
awesome.
of this.
What do you mean by that?
So to be shifting secretaries around and knowing where to put them and knowing
Look
how
at you trying
someone's
to
going to
leave.
feel if someone gets that office and this person. She knows everything that's going on. She's got her finger on the pulse.
That was some shit. Y'all can have this job.
What do you want?
I'm sorry.
Rip his head off.
I think there's a moment of being stunned.
What do you mean?
There's an office open upstairs.
And then I think she immediately jumps on the opportunity.
Fuck it. That was the best thing that son of a bitch ever did.
Who are you?
Hey,
For the
Dad's
longest
been
time,
lying.
Sally's relationship with Don has been so wrapped up in Betty and Megan and Henry and everything else but Sally that it's been hard for him to separate it out. And I think he's starting down that road of trying to separate out his relationship. with his
Hopefully
kids.
he ever had a
From
relationship
his
with her
relationship
after
with
this
his
series
ex-wife.
ended.
We, the writers, felt it would be a great story to see what was the state of their relationship.
It sucks.
Where were you?
I was at the office.
Yeah, you lying
What?
And
bitch.
Sally catching him in the middle of a lie again.
What did I say?
And her having to be an adult.
Just tell the truth.
I don't think
If
at
you
this
can.
point Sally has a shred of respect for the man or an ounce of appreciation. She's a kid.
No appreciation.
And he tells her the truth in a fatherly way because she knows so much about him.
Right?
But that moment at the end where she says, I love you, just so gently and like, you know, without any thought,
Happy Valentine's Day. I love you.
it's a shock.
Good shit. Hey, I'm getting emotional again, man. That was great.
Megan's in trouble. In California, Don finds out from her agent while he's pretending to go to work.
Why would she do that?
They lose their confidence, but I don't want anyone to have that anecdote.
There's probably a couple things at work when Don gets that phone call. One is like, I don't have time for this. But two is she's probably going down a bad road and he should be there to give her advice.
Yeah, she should be
as
there,
a
you
partner.
dick.
Hello?
I mean, she never
Going
found
off
out
the
about
rails.
Sylvia, but I think that this is as big a betrayal, especially because she keeps expecting him to move out to California with her.
I've been at home.
You lost your job?
Yeah, this was a big hit. This was it, probably. This is the end of the relationship.
Like most times when Don has to tell the truth, he's completely backed into a corner and
Right.
has to come clean. I don't know if they want me or they don't want me.
The Betty-Francine
I
dynamic
liked
is
her.
always very underlying hostility, like very competitive as friends. I needed a reward.
Competitive as friends. Never a good dynamic.
starts her thinking about, I don't know, what her life is and how maybe, you know,
That does kind of
she should
motivate
get
the
out
rest of her
there
season, I guess.
and do something for herself too.
That makes sense.
Maybe I'm old-fashioned.
I think that she is defending herself, but she's also, it's kind of a burn to Francine. Like, oh, I guess I'm just old-fashioned. You know, you should be at home with your kids too, because they're supposed to be your priority.
Right.
Betty Draper, that is indeed how I would describe you.
But then when Francine says, you know, Betty, that's exactly how I describe you, that stings too.
Burn. Good point.
Hello, Don. Enough dancing around. Enough dinner. I think it's come to a point where it's, you know, it's been brought up with Sally, it's been brought up with Megan, it's been brought up with Freddie, it's been brought up with enough people in his life that he's realizing that he needs to do something. Why don't you just tell me what's in it? Why don't you look? That's cool.
He probably should have jumped to a new
No,
place.
that's drama. It's the devil you know and the devil you don't know. Hello. He doesn't take that deal because he doesn't want to work back up the ladder.
Sorry I opened the door. I was expecting BLT.
So I had my answer.
I didn't know the question. You want to come back? Come back. I think he does miss him. He says he does. I miss you.
Just because he says he does.
From her side. For Betty, I think she's just feeling very pleased with herself. She's
Really?
going on this field trip and giving Bobby her time.
Smoking in front of all the kids.
Sorry, ladies, but there's no smoking on the bar.
Yeah, blowing smoke in their faces.
She doesn't come to these things. She doesn't come to school things, you know, as much as the other moms. So he's showing her off.
Sweet.
And also he has her undivided attention, so
That's a
he's
good
making
point.
use of that time.
Look at him. He is
I think
pleased. I
that
didn't
moment
realize
broke
that.
the facade of what
I should've
Betty thought
noticed
was
that.
going to be a perfect day. It was almost like a date.
Where's my sandwich?
What do you mean?
Well, there were two. For Bobby to not be considerate and think of her and trade her sandwich away, it just ruined everything for her.
I'm sorry. I'll go get it back.
You're a
Stop it.
dick.
It's fine.
You hurt her
Sorry,
feelings.
sit down.
She takes that as, I'm here for him. He's not thinking of me.
Sorry. I swear. I didn't know you were going to eat.
And he's selfish and
Eat your candy.
She's pissed. Oh, poor Betty. This is great.
For
This
Dawn
was
to be
a great
resolved,
episode.
coming back to that agency, walk in that incredible sequence and see that Roger hasn't done anything and try to get out and then sort of get dragged into it. And now he's in this kind of public trial.
Don?
How does
Yeah,
he get out of
shit.
there with his pride?
Is that you?
It's a terrible feeling. I mean, obviously, it's sort of excruciating to kind of watch this guy who used to run
Yeah,
the
no
place
shit.
be treated as
It was
not
bad.
even a guest, like not even with that courtesy, just sort of like a burden on everybody.
What are you doing here?
Waiting.
For what?
When Dawn comes back,
Oh,
what
look
are you
at her.
doing here?
She even looks
She's
pissed in the interview.
I'm waiting for Roger.
very, very, very careful
Look at her.
about why he's there, and she doesn't want anyone to mess up what she's created.
I think Roger forgot about the agreement he makes with
Dumbass.
Don in the hotel. And then when he comes to work, I don't think he thinks it's going to be that big an obstacle. Don?
Idiot. Where the fuck have you
Where were
been?
you?
When they say we fired him, I think he's a little taken aback. He
Yeah,
said,
a
"No, we
lot
didn't."
taken aback.
And even if we do fire him, he's a partner.
Get
we
him
have to
paid.
buy him out.
Get him paid.
That's true.
It's a big hit.
Yeah.
I think Joan has always known how talented Dawn is, and I think that she thinks if she can lay down some ground rules and watch him like a hawk, that it could be used.
I'm obsessed with the facial language of Christina Hendricks or whatever her name is when she's talking about this. She is in character. She's in character. We're not talking to Christina Hendricks right now. We're talking to Joan, who lives in 2017 or whenever it was this was shot. Right? Like it's mostly Joan talking this. Look at her face. She's fucking pissed. I've never seen, like in the other interviews I've shown and in the other actors, I've never seen anybody look in character when they're talking about it. Like, I think she must be a near method actor, if not a complete method actor. Because she is completely in character, man. Like, she's so fucking pissed. There's a passion and fire in her eyes talking about this particular episode. This was a big episode for her character. Like, and in those scenes, when she first sees back, man, she was boiling, right? I just love this. This tells me a lot about her as an actress.
And I think that's why it's so interesting that when he goes in there and they lay down these rather humiliating stipulations,
They
that
are
all
humiliating.
exactly in reference to the behavior we saw last season. But he says, okay. The interesting thing about this episode is the story of how it's going to work at the agency with Dawn there. Everyone has sort of grudgingly agreed to
Very
come with him, except
grudgingly.
for Roger, who is checking up on him and his sponsor.
Why are you late?
You suck,
No,
Roger.
no,
You should
no.
have prepared everybody.
It wasn't late. I didn't get a memo. I don't even know what's going on.
Well, we're getting a computer.
We have this interesting story about the computer being put in, which is kind of like a diabolical gesture.
Why not let every client who sets foot in that door know that this agency has entered the future?
That's not going to last
It's not
very long.
just their lunchroom. All the people worked in a place talking to each other and joking around and drinking beer, and now there's a machine in there.
Yeah.
Where are we supposed to work?
You all have offices.
This
I'm gonna
guy
go crazy
comes in
soon.
there and he's offering success for the agency. He's replacing a lot of people.
Harry Crane took a huge dump and we got flushed down the toilet.
Ginsburg, don't you believe
that
in
shit out of here.
advertising? That computer is the Mona Lisa.
Look at him being a fucking peacemaker. The
What
entire
did your
series.
friend and Burger Chef say?
He loves that we understand the franchise game.
Lou? I think Peggy is the right choice.
I think that she is very flattered.
Oh,
And
she's
it's
always
a
very
coup
flattered.
for her, and it's a big deal.
I'm putting you in charge of Burger Chef.
Really? So I think she's very happy about it, and then he sort of lowers the boom.
Oh,
Carve out
shit.
hours for whomever you want on the team. And done.
Everyone
That's
realizes
right.
this is a chance to
And
humiliate
Don.
and maybe get him out of there. How much can Don take? How much will Don eat?
I hope what I think is very good news. I hope you see it that way.
She's taken a lot from this man, and has been pushed around a lot by him.
Pete Campbell
Now
has
it's time
gotten
for
us a
some payback.
presentation with Burger Chef, and that's why I wanted you both on my team.
It's a really nice little moment for her that he's
Yeah.
sitting on the couch, and I think she very much enjoys
Yeah,
being
we got
able
that.
to tell him what
Look
he
at
should
her.
do.
Yeah. Eat my ass.
It's
This is
payback
humiliating.
time, and they're all paying him back, including Peggy.
I'm not doing shit.
Peggy has been given this task. She realizes that she's kind of been played a bit as well, but she's not going to not take the opportunity to stick it in Don and
He's outta
twist the
here.
knife a little bit. It's painful to Don because he realizes that this is his lot in life now. He's signed this.
It's all
deal, and he's
downhill
gonna
from-
actually have to come-
downhill from
go
here,
through
baby.
with it.
Margaret's run away. She's upstate with some sort of religious cult.
This is a wild
This is
storyline.
part of the period to me. Women suddenly realized, I think, that they didn't have to stay where they were. And Margaret is a young mother.
Fuck
She's
it.
in her life permanently at that period. And she has been lured away by an opportunity to live a different way.
We do things by true consensus here. Everyone does what
It's
they
funny
want.
that Don
Roger
kind of
is
ends
kind
up
of
in this
realizing that
situation.
the new lifestyle doesn't all jive with him.
It's time to leave Shangri-La, baby. Take a good look, say goodbye to your friends. He knows what cost decisions like that have, because he's made them.
Eller has everything
Right. She's going to regret it.
He's your baby.
How did you feel
Yeah,
when you went away to work, Dad?
good
That's very
point.
hard to hear. This is why I am the way I am, because you were never there. So
Right.
I'm making this decision based on your decisions with me. It seems to be...
And your
you know,
kid's going to hate you.
the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Advertising. Does it work?
I'm about to beat
It
your
helps
ass
with
in
the product.
a couple scenes.
He tempts Don with new business, which is something Don's not allowed to do.
Yeah.
You
That's
thought
why I got
it
so
was
mad.
going to be a big creative crisis and we'd pull you off the bench. But in fact,
Cooper
we've
always
been
knows.
doing just fine.
Cooper always
Why
knows.
am I even
man.
here?
Why are you here?
Don does exactly what everyone expects him to do.
Have a drink. Dumbass.
It's all right, sweetheart. He's expecting me.
And I think that was in the back of Don's mind.
Freddie, what a pleasant surprise.
You know you called me.
That Freddie would keep him from screwing it up too badly.
Meredith, we're off for the day.
Way off.
As much as people want to get caught when they're doing something bad, I think sometimes you do things that save yourself.
Okay, you two have fun.
Freddie gets him out of that
I
office
love
and no
Meredith.
one's the wiser.
What the hell are you doing? Aren't they giving you a second chance?
Well, you wanted to be back at that agency. Why did you want that? You thought you were going to go back to just the way you were.
I want my job back.
You're not the boss anymore.
How the hell do you think that's going to happen when you're at the bottom of a bop?
He's learned the lesson, which is
Have
what
another
the
drink.
episode's sort of about. Freddie says, you got to do the work. Just do the work.
That's
He
right.
realizes that the only
It
way
better
to
be
go
good,
through
too.
it is to commit to it and really do what he does best, which is come up with ideas and follow them through.
I think it's kind of interesting to sort of see a sober Don at the end of the episode just doing his work.
Yep.
He doesn't have to like Peggy for it, but he's doing his work.
Get that shit done, bitch. Yeah.
I wasn't sure if you'd remember me.
This reappearance with her
Story.
in final
This
episode didn't
story
work for me.
is
We'll
about
talk about that
who
later.
is your family. Don is married to Megan,
I'm pregnant.
but Anna is the person that knew him.
Anna, I
Stephanie
can't
is
remember her
family.
name ever.
And he is so happy as he's there at his job doing his front work, trying to be sober, trying to get through it. And when there's an opportunity to help Stephanie, He won't compromise his job. He's not just going to run off like he used to, but he goes out
Yeah,
there
that's
to
her
help
name.
her.
That's right.
Last flight's at 9. Put me on that.
Cancel my plans.
It's fine. Not yours. When Don lost Anna, he actually said it. He said that the only person that ever knew me is gone. I think Stephanie
That was a
represents
big
connection to that.
It's probably hard with you here and him there.
Stephanie is very threatening to Megan. I don't
Yep.
think it's sexually threatening.
Emotionally.
What Stephanie assumes it is.
Nothing ever happened between us, you know.
It's the fact that she knows him so well.
Yep.
That she's his family.
What Megan did was reprehensible.
It's not his thing. It's not his group. It's not what interests him. It's a bunch of young people getting high and playing music, and that's not what he does.
But you become a hippie, though.
Go to bed.
Megan suggests this threesome, trying to offer him more than family.
Megan thought that there was going to be this reconciliation, and this would be some sort of weird gift.
Kiss her. I know you want to.
What's gotten into you?
I'm tired of everyone telling me to shut up. I'm not stupid.
People have been talking about Betty Draper and feminism, and what I love about this episode is Betty becomes politicized.
From now on, keep your
Too bad she
conversation
didn't have
to
a
how much
storyline
you're
that we
getting
cared
Tom's
about.
crumbs in the butter, and leave the thinking to me.
Nobody cares
Damn,
what you
dude.
think. Your opinion is secondary to mine, and that is a tradition.
I always liked Henry, but they made him an asshole this season.
I think all by myself. She has a different relationship with Henry than she did with Dawn, and I don't think that
See, like,
was
she's
fans
not
for someone
angry
treating her
when
like
she's
that
talking about
anymore.
this, so she should
She's a
be.
stronger person.
Joan
She's not
was
being talked down.
Christine Henderson's
Feels like
angry
she
in
is
that interview.
informed and educated, and she can speak other
What a great
languages.
actress.
She's worldly, and she's not going to be humiliated like that and not say something. And I'm proud of her for that.
That machine
Yes.
came for us, and one by one.
This is a great storyline.
It's a Ginsberg story, but it really seen through the eyes of Peggy. How
Yeah.
could she not have seen? But this guy has always been like this.
He really has.
Ginsburg has always sort of acted strange, so I think that she just puts it off as that at first.
Right. Psycho.
I love that sort of gray area of
Between
we know
weirdness
the
and
computer is
crazy.
not sending him waves. We know it's not turning people gay, but it is a threat to their livelihood.
Right.
And I love that it got expressed sexually for him.
The computer's plan.
Gives himself to Peggy, and here she thinks she is turning down the romantic advances of a coworker who's a little bit off.
You have to leave with the kiss and everything. It gets a little bit out of hand, and I think she's more just thinking, now I have to go deal with this at work.
Right. Yeah, she's not seeing the big picture here.
I removed the pressure. Now it just flows through me without affecting me at all. It has an outlet. Open it.
He's quite bad, you know.
What is that?
It's my nipple.
Yeah.
It's the valve.
I think it's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's really scary to see somebody go off track like that. It's
He's off
really
his mind.
disorienting.
Off
I
his
think
meds,
that
man.
she's afraid for herself, but she's afraid for him. I think that it's really hard on her to see him like that.
Yeah. They mentioned visiting him a couple times. I don't think she ever did.
Get out while you can!
Very
no
jarring
chance. She
experience
never
to
gets
have
out.
somebody lose it in front of you.
Cutler and Lou have tried to figure a way to get Don out of the agency.
They are plotting,
We get to
boys.
see the old Don activated here a little bit. Right down to
This was a great
showing
scene.
up to a meeting that he's not invited to.
Goddamn right.
Jim, Lou, sorry to interrupt.
And pitching tobacco. What a reversal.
We do have a problem working with the man who cut our throat in the New York Times.
Don
God
is
damn.
fighting for his job.
Well, if you were to give us a shot,
The only way he knows how. He wasn't really given a choice.
Yep.
prepared to leave the agency. The best defense is a good offense. He
Yeah.
knew that if he didn't get his 2 cents in there in some way, shape, or form, that he would definitely be thrown under the bus.
Get him out of here.
Basically, it was a Hail Mary. And we'll see if it works.
This must come out between episodes. I guess at the end of every episode they did one of these, right?